Salute and thank you, NERDSoul. Lay Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go, because it's all about the rings of power. Man, we look. All right, we were gone last week. Had a lot of things going on, but we are back this week. We're going to be running through episodes 6 and 7 to get y'all ready for episode 8. That's right, because this episode is going down. So, before I go any further, I have to introduce to you writer-director Jay Sherer. What's up?
Hey, good to be here. Always fun to talk to you guys about Rings of Power. And I'm going to be honest with you. This last episode was peak Rings of Power. It was amazing. So I'm looking forward to this. It was awesome. I was stoked about it. Lots of action. And we'll get into it.
Definitely. Man. Ooh, this is what I like to see. This last episode 7, is definitely what I like to see. And the good and bad thing is that with 8 episodes, it seems like it's almost gone so quick because they dropped the first 3 episodes at once.
Yep.
So it's almost like, oh, it's over? Oh, well, I guess that's we can always go back and watch it later.
That's true.
But so also before we get started, we'll have Solar Grand here just a little bit later. He'll be stepping through, so he'll be providing all kinds of insight for us. But since we're running back the last 2, of course, Doomed to Die is probably the most notable one. But what, I guess, stood out to you, or what are your initial thoughts after finishing the last 2 episodes, or the last episode especially?
I can't even remember what happened in the episode 6. What was episode 6 about? It's like, right. I've got too many shows I'm watching right now.
It seems so long ago. So, yeah. All right, episode 6 is the episode called Where Is He? We did get to check in on Nori. We got to check in on who I believe is Gandalf. Then we also got to see King Goldfinger pretty much, straight up attack his son.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, like, just straight up attack his son, which is, not recommended.
Yeah.
But
we frown upon that. We frown upon that.
Yes,
kind
we
of
frown upon
behavior.
that. But then we also saw the beginnings of the attack on Eregion, and also Anatar, aka Sauron, making everybody believe that Celebrimbor is crazy. When he really wasn't crazy. He was kind of going crazy, but it was because Sauron was doing things to him.
Yeah. Okay, that's a perfect recap. So, that episode was good predominantly because of what it sets up for episode 7. So, like, the fact that they sort of end the episode with the orcs rolling up on Eregion and about to start their complete onslaught, essentially, was really good. I like the Anatar Celebrimbor stuff. I think that stuff works really, really well because it's just creepy. And you and I talked about this last time we talked about how Sauron and Anatar has really become this person who can just, not only does he have a lot of power, but he can also manipulate you. Like, he's good at lots of forms of darkness, I guess is the right way to say it. And that makes him just such an interesting character. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I think episode 6 was good, but predominantly because it's setting up for what you get in episode 7. And episode 7 is great.
Definitely. And I'll say another thing on 6 is they've, I guess I'd say a pillar of this season has been the relationship between Celebrimbor and Anatar, aka Sauron, because throughout this season, we've been seeing this slow manipulation, slow build, also back and forth anger from Celebrimbor, where we kind of come to a head in episode 7, where he says to Galadriel, like, hey, I kind of already knew, or I kind of felt this way, but there was a part of me that wanted to do this.
Right.
And I think that goes kind of part and parcel with the devil-like character of Sauron, where he's able to get into that, like, that small piece of evil or small piece of like deceit or whatever inside you and like expand that. So yeah, this whole season has been good. And I mean, when Anatar comes out to, speak to the rest of the elves, like, hey, Celebrimbor, he's put me in charge. It's like, well, he didn't really put you in charge. He told you to handle one thing. But yeah, of course, he's gonna, get an inch and take a mile.
Yeah, that's so true.
But yeah, that's what it stood out. I enjoyed that episode, and episode 7, even more. But I'd say this season, that relationship and the creation of these rings has been a huge plus for them. Like, the actors have really killed it. I've bought every scene. Like, everyone is really coming to play, and they, it doesn't seem like they believe in this stuff. Like, they're coming in and he's like, I am Celebrimbor. He's like, I am Sauron, stuff like that. So I dig that. Yeah. Like, I really enjoyed that. So I guess I'll go into, okay, hold on. We got Solar Grey here. So I'll go in and wait for him to queue up and get in. But I'll say episode 7, kind of continuing. We finally get to see Arondir back. And unfortunately, he isn't back for long, but well, we don't really see him die.
Right.
So maybe he's okay.
I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's I don't think he's completely gone, because, and here's why I don't believe he's completely gone.
Okay.
I don't believe he's completely gone because they didn't make enough of his. If he's really gone, they didn't make enough of it. Like, and that's something that Lord of the Rings is like really good at. Is like just think of like the Boromir death. Like, they make a big deal about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't just like, oh, you got a couple arrows in you, like, see you later. Like, they always make it a bigger deal. So I think he's still with us.
Cool. So speaking of someone who's with us, we got Solar Grey, the cinematic sorcerer. Say what's up.
Hey everybody, this is Solar Grey, the cinematic sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And I don't know, I think he's dead.
Oh man.
Ooh, hard punch. So, Solar comes in with a hard punch.
Solar, really quick, just some basic thoughts on the last 2 episodes before we really dive in. Just some your basic, initial reactions, how you feel about where we're at now, between 6 and 7, and what's your temperature check on the show?
Well, first off, I want to say happy birthday, bro. Second, I'm gonna say episode 6 I loved. Yeah, I really liked episode 6 for 2 reasons. One, watching Gondor is fascinating. No, it's not going the way it does in the books, but guess what? It's still not bad.
All right, and real quick, what is Gondor?
Or not Gondor, sorry. Numenor.
Oh, okay. Because I was like Gondor. I was like, where is that? All right,
yeah.
So Numenor. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, Numenor. It's I'm so used to thinking about the humans in terms of Gondor and Rohan that I kind of slip up.
Isn't Numenor essentially like the precursor to Gondor?
Yes, yeah. It is. For all intents and purposes, it is Atlantis. And watching that play out, no, it's not the way that it happened in the Lost Tales, but they don't have the rights to the Lost Tales or the Silmarillions. So they're doing
don't?
No, they don't.
So how are they able to make this?
They have the rights to the appendices.
The fractured rights issues of entertainment. Okay, continue. before I get angry about telecom in general.
So watching my blind queen become queen, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what it's supposed to look like.
I was actually expecting her to come back with sight. I was like, oh, she's still blind. I was like, oh, okay, because I thought.
Man, can't you be happy about nothing?
I mean, I was still happy.
I mean, it ain't enough that she went into the water and Stevie Wonder style stared down a sea monster, and the sea monster's like, oh, what's up? Bet, let me give you a ride home. No, you wanted her to come back with sight too. You wanted wings? Yeah. Oh, she should be able to come back and fly. Huh?
Does that monster have a name?
I didn't think to look it up
or whatever. But
I did not think to look it up.
I was like, that is
horrifying,
weird, and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. Although that wasn't my favorite part of episode 6.
Okay.
My favorite part of episode 6 was the Tom Bombadil Gandalf conversations.
And see that it seems so short. I'm wondering. Finish your thought, but I want to throw this question in for you when you finish your thought.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to do a big, a big splash for him in the finale?
Probably. Well, in the show finale, or
in the finale of this season. Sorry.
No.
Oh,
he's
really?
going to get his stick, and then he's going to meet the evil wizard.
Okay.
Yeah. He's going to realize that the real magic is. Well, you mean, yeah. So he's already realizing that the real magic is, the hobbits you met along the way. But his conversation with Tom, his learning magic, because how can I put this? Cynical people will definitely see a parallel in his story as there is in another legendary hero that makes people mad.
Mm-hmm. I saw it. I was like, Luke.
Yeah. So, and I'm not gonna lie. I think Tom Bombadil is, kind of making a real good Yoda. I ain't gonna lie. No cap. I'm all there. And I like the conversation, specifically the one about the secret fire. Since I know what the secret fire is, I'm like, you know what? I'm with that. I'm definitely with that. Specifically the part of, the secret fire can show you tomorrow's clouds as sure as yesterday's sunshine. It's like, well, how do I know it? How can I master it? What's the fire need you as a master for? And this goes back to quite honestly the most martially awesome lines that we have from Gandalf that people overlook because most people don't know what a soft magic system looks like.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, because when you were talking about the conversations, I know you talked about soft magic, but I was expecting some training of some sort. But
he's getting it.
It seems like the training is more like we're just going to talk and you're going to go on a journey.
He's getting the training.
Yeah, I was just like, this isn't the training I expected. Like, I understand
what,
it is training.
You want him to put Tom on his back and start doing front flips throughout Rune?
Nah, I wanted him to pick up a stick and be like, here's your, I don't know, your starter stick or something like that.
See, that's kind of the thing. The stick that's his focus, okay? Mm-hmm. We've already seen in his first appearance that he's got the power already. And when he tries to use it, it just kind of goes wild on him. So the stick is specifically to focus the magic. However, much like the wands in Harry Potter, each one of the sticks is very personal.
Okay. All right.
That's why he showed him the field. He's like, yeah, it's down there. Well, you gonna help me find it? No, can't. It's not cool for me to find your thing. You gotta find your thing. Cool. That's your thing. That's not my thing.
All right. So how about episode 7? Anything stand out to you on that?
Yes.
All right. What's on your mind?
Adar is very quickly becoming my favorite character. This shouldn't be a hot take, but he honestly is one of the best written characters in this show. Because there's all this talk about heroes, anti-heroes, villains, anti-villains. I very much see him as an anti-villain.
I get where you're going. I get where you're going.
And you guys and your audience by this point should know that I don't go easy on stuff just because I like it. All right. But so I'm not saying, yeah, he's a great character because I love him. I am loving him because he's a great character. Okay.
Yeah.
And when he is talking about his orcs or the Uruk, I'm seeing so much Magneto in there. I cannot lie.
Even when he was talking about him and Galadriel were having the conversation about what Sauron gives you. Because he's like, he wanted children, and she was like, "Well, you got them." And
he's like, "Yeah, no, exactly why you shouldn't listen to him."
Yeah, it's because this isn't what. Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of like the movie. I'm pretty sure no one has made this reference before in reference to. I mean, in dealing with Lord of the Rings, but it's kind of like either Warlock or Wishmaster, which are classic trash horror movies of like the 80s or early 90s, whatever.
Hey, you will not speak poorly of Julian Sands' work in my presence.
I mean, they're great, but they're also not great. But I mean, I was a kid. I loved them, man. I mean, they still all right. But you get kind of what you want. I mean, even in Leprechaun, it kind of happens too. Shouts out to Leprechaun, another kind of classic trash horror series. But you sort of get what you want, but not what you wanted.
Yeah. It's the Faustian bargain, the genie wish,
Yeah. And I thought it was also interesting. It was almost like watching. These are three people, or maybe like seeing since the way the elves were made, it's kind of like watching an angel and a fallen angel talk about the devil, who is like the worst. It's like, well, I don't like you, but I used to be like you, and there's somebody worse out there than me. And what are we gonna do about it?
Yeah. And the thing I really like about the Adar character is he does know what's up. He is not a fool.
Nah.
And he's like, yeah, no, I am all down for a team up. We take out Sauron because that's my number one mission. All right. I already stabbed him. Like, I got closer than all y'all in taking him out, and I'm just trying to finish the job. And that other conversation, that, and what then? Oh, what, you really think that I'm going to believe that the elves are going to let me and my children live in peace? Like, when we take out Sauron, I know you coming for me.
Well, not particularly, because wasn't in season 1, wasn't Adar out there and like nobody was messing with him? He kind of started up his own thing in to like get Mordor started or whatever. So I mean, he was kind of chilling. Nobody was bothering him, right? At least not that I remember.
How do you get a country started?
Well,
you find some fertile land.
There's tons of land out there that people weren't on. At least I assume so. I mean, it's so vast. They don't really show you how much space people really have.
Most of it is inhospitable. Most of the South was desert before.
Okay. So he like, I gotta come take something because
everybody lives somewhere and nobody's letting us move in.
All right, got you. All right, cool. So I'll get started up. We'll go around on who do I want to talk about first? Let's talk about, and I'll throw it to Jay. Jay, how are you feeling about King Goldfinger?
Dude, I mean,
in the whole Khazad-dûm of everything.
Well, first of all, let me give a shout out to young Durin for giving a much better speech than Elrond gave. Elrond did not give his elves much to go on. Now neither of them got to Aragorn levels. Let's just face it. Like Aragorn, someday we will die, but today is not.
But it is not this day.
Yeah,
I mean, but neither of those three got to Guile levels in Street Fighter, where he said, "Who wants to go home and who wants to go with me."
That's fair. That is fair.
And nor did he state that normally it would be a dwarven holiday, but we will combine with the forces of this good earth to say that today is our Independence Day.
Oh man.
Awesome. So here's the question. Here's the real question. I think that the interaction between father and son was very interesting, and it's interesting to see what the ring is doing to the father.
And kind of sad too.
It kind of sad too. Absolutely.
Not kinda.
Yeah, exactly. Very
not
sad.
Kinda. Yeah, continue.
The only thing that the thing I'm really wondering about, because my wife and I was telling Michael that I just watched it again, this episode 7, and my wife is like, man, I'm not sure that Durin the kid is being told the truth. When the guy runs up and he's got like a bloody face and he's like, oh man, your dad's just taking an axe to everybody and we got to get out of here and we got to raise the army up. And my wife's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's real. So I think that the father has become a fascinating character, but I don't think all has been revealed to us yet about what exactly is going on with him. So, but it does do an excellent job of foreshadowing. It does a couple of really awesome things. We know that the kid wanted to raise the army, and he gives this rousing speech, and everybody's with him, and he's going to go help his friend Elrond and the elves. And this is a pivotal moment in the history of Middle-earth, because this either brings the dwarves and the elves closer together, or we know that doesn't happen, because we know what the future holds, and the elves and the dwarves don't really like each other. So I thought that they played that out really well, so that we could see like, oh, this is more complex than just they don't like each other because they didn't show up at each other's Christmas parties. You know, like this. There's more going on here that's bad. So I like it.
With all of that wealth under the mountain, and you got me some socks.
Yeah, exactly.
I do have a quick question. Hold your thought real quick. Solar. Okay, they do all this mining and they love the gold. They're always getting gold, but what do they really need gold for? Because the mountain pretty much provides everything they need, right? Do they really need money in
That's
that way?
Kind of the point. They made it very clear that the ring pushes Durin the Third's greed. It's about having it, not about using it, but about hoarding it. You know, there's fortune and wealth down there, and we live down here, so it's ours.
All right, got you. But Jay, go on, continue. Sorry, got you.
No. I was pretty much finishing up, anyways. I think that is going to be. You know that the last time we talked, one of the things I said was that I did not like the dwarf story from season 1. I thought it was pretty boring. I think season 2 has completely reversed that. Like the Elrond and Durin stuff in season 2 is interesting, and the way that it plays out is fascinating. It's really, really well done. And the fact that they crafted this episode so that we don't know the truth of what's actually going on with the dwarves, even though we kind of know where things are going to end up ultimately, because we know the Balrog will appear. It's really well done.
On that.
Yeah, exactly. We saw the trailer on that, and it's really well done. They do a really good job of like holding us on that moment of going like, no, you can't believe. Yeah, I can't believe they didn't show up for Elrond. But we also kind of know what's going on with him, and we know there's something bigger happening that he needs to deal with. But they didn't show us that, which was really, really smart. So I love how that's playing out. I'm behind it.
Yeah, I would disagree with you on that, because they did show us that. They didn't show it happening, but they showed Durin the Third during the Fourth's speech about loyalty and friendship and how it's stronger than the bones of the earth.
Yeah.
And then right after that, we got to see Durin the Third with his axe going, well, I have to do it myself.
You're right. He did walk off with his axe. I just assumed he was going off like to sort of like I guess, board himself up or like, kind of go into a safe room. Like, you're not going to remove me as a king. But
then the next time that we hear about him is when old boy is running in to, he's running in to talk to Durin saying, bro, your dad just went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, he was all bloodied up.
What I meant with that we didn't see though is that we don't know why Durin the Fourth got so caught up. Okay, so what I meant was the information we're given is that you can't go because your dad is axing people, and he may have unearthed something below the mines. The thing is like, did he really unearth something below the mines that's now attacking people? Or is it more so that, like, in other words, we're ending on a suspenseful moment of like, what is exactly going down and how is it going down? Because there is an argument to be made, at least in my mind, that Durin the Fourth could have said, look, I'm going to leave you 25% of the army, but I got to take 75% of the army because Elrond needs me. So you can deal with whatever you need to deal with. That's the suspense that I'm talking about. Like, yes, we know that the king is there and he's upset, but we haven't seen him commit the violence, and we haven't seen the Balrog rise up out of the ground. So all of that is like, the reason why I'm interested in it is because it's still promising me that there's conflict in the future for that storyline, and that's really cool to me. That's kind of what I meant.
All right, I will agree with you. I was wondering if at the beginning of the next episode we get at least like a fraction of forces. Like, okay, look, my dad's going crazy, but I promise Elrond, so we take 1 battalion, of like the best sharpshooters or something, and just go, because we won't need sharpshooters here. We're down in the mountain. It's going to be close combat. So you take the best dwarf arrow man or whatever and take them, and then I'll deal with dad here, because I won't front. It was kind of sad watching Elrond just sitting there on the ground saying, Durin will come.
He'll show up. She just said she was running late. It's only been a half hour.
It's only been 45 minutes.
My dating life in high school, huh?
It's only been 45 minutes. It's only been an hour and 15 minutes now.
Yeah.
But also, shouts out to Disa, aka Songbird, aka Black Canary, because she came through with the bat call or something. I don't know what to call it. It's the bat song.
She straight up pulled a Noland on that one.
But I did like it. I like Disa as a character. She's a great, a great wife to Durin the Fourth. She understands him. She sticks by him. She lets him know when his dad's going too far. She lets him know when he's going too far.
Oh, she's big on slapping him in the back of the neck, and I love that. I honestly, I think that's one of the most important jobs of a partner, in my opinion, is to literally be like, "Whoa, what's the matter with you? Hold up," because
you gotta let your partner know when they're tripping. You gotta be like, "All right, look, hey, all right," and also notice she doesn't do it publicly. She doesn't shame him or embarrass him publicly. She takes him to the house and like, look, hey, you and your dad got to get things together. No, because there's a difference. Say if you and I have an issue with one another, there's a difference in your response on whether I say something to you in public than in private. Because in public, there's like this, I don't know, this subconscious feeling of there's an audience. There's an audience to kind of perform for. And when it's just one-on-one, that audience isn't there, and it's usually easier to get to someone in that case and explain yourself better, hopefully. Maybe, but I do like, she brings him to the side. Hey, your dad's doing this. I love your dad, but like he said, you belong to the ring.
Yeah,
and he's talking about, every hour that we, don't dig costs us unthinkable wealth. And it's like, bro, you're sitting on like mounds of gold. we'll be okay if we take a break for a day or two. Like, is there something that you're planning to buy tomorrow? Like, so you know that ring is like controlling him. So it's almost, dang, you know what? On outside of this, it's almost like watching a parent fall into dementia.
Addiction? Oh,
yeah.
dementia.
Yeah,
Okay.
like addiction or dementia, something like that, where their mind is not always theirs. And like small spurts of the person you knew will come back, but then it's back to either the forgetfulness or the anger or whatever it is. So I kind of feel sorry for during 4. Well, during 3 as well, because you know, I'm sure he doesn't want to be controlled by a ring. So yeah, I like that relationship a lot. And also seeing Elrond come to Durin with the whole like my heart sings to see you. I was just like, man, this is awesome, man. Friendship, the power of friendship, boy.
Yeah, you know, the real magic are the hobbits we met along the way. You know,
That's what it's all about, guys. It's all about friendship. But yeah, the dwarves in this story, I will say everything's firing on all cylinders. But since we have mentioned it already, I want to talk about Númenor for a second. Okay, so I got a lore question for you, Solar.
Doing this show has made me have to like read a lot of the Lost Tales, right?
Oh, sorry.
I'm like really going back over stuff. I'm like, man, I should be just sending him these pages. Yeah.
All right. Pharazôn calls himself, quote, the true ruler, right?
Pharazôn, yeah.
So Pharazôn is sort of the true ruler right now, and now Muriel has come back. Is there a fight for the throne now, or is it just kind of like decided that Pharazôn's gone, Muriel's in?
Well, there's not exactly a fight for the throne because Pharazôn know he'll lose at this point.
Oh, okay.
Because Pharazôn is a politician, and this is important. Okay. Because how can I put this bluntly? An eagle showed up while the coronation was happening, and somebody said, "It's here for Pharazôn, yay!" But the queen stared down a sea monster and got a ride home from it. So I don't care what denomination you are. When the faithful queen is like, "Oh, you gonna make my man do trial by fire? All right. Or, trial in the old ways. We'll do this trial in the old ways. And by the way, according to the old ways, I will die for him because we got a little something going on." But
yeah, she did touch his chest 2 times, man. Hey, I know love when I see it.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, what do we got? We got a thing going on. And but as soon as they threw her blind behind into that hot tub, and she got pulled down, and the sea monster said, "Oh, by the way, this is a fantasy show." And she came out the water. That removed all doubt.
I'm surprised we didn't get a scene where someone next to Pharazôn is like, "But what if he passes?" What if he passes this test? Like, what do we do? Because we've killed people, we've destroyed the temple, we've done so. If he passes this, we gonna be in trouble. Good. Yeah, we are not looking good right now.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised we didn't get a little scene like that, but it might have been shot and cut. But even the guy with the book standing beside Pharazôn, I'm surprised he wasn't like, "But what if she passes? Like, what do we do?" Because we've committed. I mean, now she could essentially say that we're the ones. We're the ones that committed treason and all this stuff. So I would have been trying to slide back like the the Homer Simpson gif where he's just like sliding back into the bushes.
Or like the dude from the Dragon Prince. Like, wait a minute, I'm on the side of the bad guys.
It's like you just slide back like, I'm out. But
I only have one complaint about these last 2 episodes, and it actually speaks directly to what you're talking about. It's interesting that they choose to like force feed us some information, which from a writing standpoint is kind of like, when you hear it, you're like kind of like, well, no, I already knew that. Why did you say that? But what's interesting is they never give us the alternative. So what you're saying is like, why don't we? Because if you're trying to build tension in an audience, the audience has to know the repercussions of this going well versus this going poorly, right? Like if you don't know the repercussions, it might be like, oh, okay, if it goes badly, who cares? But like the one thing that they keep doing is they keep doubling down on information that we already know. Like this made me laugh so much, but when the orcs turn their trebuchets and their catapults on the mountain, and then they literally start firing at the mountain, and we get this big shot of the mountain, and it's like obvious. It's obvious. Yeah. They even just finished saying, the troops were like, "There's no way they're crossing this giant river." And you're like, well, obviously they're going to dam up the river. But then there's literally a line of dialogue from somebody going, "They're going to dam up the river." And you're like, yeah, thanks, man. Like
it's almost like you can hear Benicio del Toro going, "Can you hear me in the back?"
Yeah, exactly. So I wish they would take those lines and use those lines for what you're talking about, Michael. Is to say, but what happens if this goes well? Like, what happens if he comes back? Like,
so what happens if she passes?
Exactly.
Because if she passes, she'll be like, the people of Númenor will essentially crown her queen, which they did. They called her Queen of the Sea.
Yep.
So, but you know what? I'll go to before because I do want to get to the battle, but I want to stop just a second for a little bit of love. And matter of fact, you know what? That's I don't mean that in that way, because I don't mean it that way. But it was nice to see Poppy and Merrimac. You know, I was like, oh, you know, you're holding hands. You know, nice little kiss. You know, there's nothing like a little bit of love. All this craziness going on, there's still love in Middle Earth. You know,
I'm kind of glad that you brought that up, because
wedding bells are already here.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was afraid we were going to skip over the Hobbit colony.
No, man. You know, once I got some romance, I was like, we're going to talk about this.
But yeah, because I thought that the thing between Poppy and Nobody, I'm like, okay, all right, you know what? Most of the time, shows like this give us a love interest for the main person that almost inevitably leads to a love triangle.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And that was never really a thing in Lord of the Rings. It's not very Tolkien-esque. The closest thing that we got to a love triangle in the popularized Lord of the Rings was Aragorn trying to break up with Arwen, meeting Éowyn, and he's like, you know, she ain't a bad looking woman, but I'm kind of grieving. You know, that's literally the closest thing we get.
Yeah.
You know, and when she meets Faramir, there's no love triangle. He's like, okay, she found somebody. Good for her. I've got to put the world back together. And then his queen shows up, you know? So I really kind of dig that aspect, because there was really no love triangle between the hobbits either. And I truly appreciated that. You know, unless you want to talk, you know, Frodo, Sam, and Gollum, but this ain't that kind of podcast. You know, so a lot of the stuff that I saw with Poppy and Nobody, I'm like, this is sweet. And I think, and help me out with this, Jay, I think that that's a very cool narrative device to show us what is actually at stake. With, you know, we got all these plans to do all this fighting, but what are we fighting for? And then we just get a little bit of a slice of life, which is what the hobbits were always there for in the first place. You know, would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because That's the one really interesting thing, and a lot of films these days aren't doing this as much as it used to be done. But one of the core tenets of storytelling used to be that you should show everything at the beginning of the story as it is supposed to be, and then at the end of the story, you must go through this tragic arc that like everything is no longer as it should be because tragedy has happened. And then you come back to everything is now as it should be, but it's different than what it was before. And that's kind of like a traditional storytelling arc. But a lot of stories don't do that because they just dump you into tension because people's attention spans are so limited that they just throw you right into tension. So it's
I'm sorry,
phenomenal.
what were you saying?
Yeah, exactly. So it's phenomenal to have these little moments of like this is the way that the world actually should be, right?
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a great pickup.
What was it? The conversation about staying here because this is not just our land, this is our home. And so you do get two great perspectives because there is a perspective of like home is where you make it. And if these people are this dangerous, sometimes you got to let go. But then I also see the side of like, hey, we've tried to make our home other places. This is where we've been able to do it, and it's worth fighting for. So, both of them have great perspectives, and I just like that they got a chance to just kind of sit on the stoop and talk about it for a second.
Yeah. You know what? As somebody who lives in the hood, I appreciate that part of the story.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, even though we only got a little bit of Hobbit and Gandalf-ness, I think it was still instrumental for their journeys. Because, like Jay was saying, everybody's on their journey right now, or kind of like getting to their destination at this moment. And I'd say season 2 has been solid for everybody, like in a very good way. Man, honestly, normally Hobbits, I'd be like, who cares? But you know what? Respect.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I know you like the whole battle stuff and the war stuff and all that stuff, but Hobbits are the goal, bro. They really are. They've always been the goal. They're trying
to steal my heart. They got like 8 meals a day. They're hanging out, talking about having a good life. I mean, they're trying to get me on their side.
Hobbits have always been not just Tolkien's insert, but they're representative of the Western civilization dream for most people. They got their little property. They spend their time farming and drinking and not bothering nobody. And it's like, it's literally a retired community. That's what it is. Man. And growing up in America, that's a hard thing to swallow. But it's like, this is what we're supposed to be working for, right?
Yeah. Good. Okay.
And to show that, I mean, that's really what Hobbits have always been. You know what? I get a second breakfast because I'm 67. I ain't got to be at the office.
Get a second breakfast.
Breakfast. I'm going to have 11sies. I'm going to smoke my pipe. I might write a book. I'm going to go futz around in the garden. And I'm going to gossip with the neighbors who are doing the exact same thing. It ain't about the hustle and grind.
The Hobbit, senior living. I can see it now.
Yeah. I mean, really look at their culture. Everything that hobbits do on screen or in the book is what we know about the cool uncle, grandma, or grandpa.
Okay. All right. I'm going to start looking at it that way. So I got a question for you because I don't know if Jay wanted this. My question is, did Elrond and Galadriel get down back in the day? Because that kiss, was that kiss just to pass the weapon, or was that kiss real? Because that kiss looked kind of real.
Yes.
Because I was like, hold up. This ain't, you ain't just giving a weapon. All right. This is real. There's some energy behind it.
All the best lies are made up of at least 60% truth.
Because when he kissed her, I was like, hold up. I was like, nobody told me this. I was like, I don't remember ever hearing this or seeing this. And it didn't seem that way in The Lord of the Rings, but I mean, it's been a while since I watched it.
And this takes place 3,000 years before.
Oh yeah, good point. Well, man, you know, maybe he don't, you know, deal with it like that no more. But I mean, back that was not a little, no, that wasn't like a grandma peck. That was
all right. So, all right, this is the filmmaker in me talking about, and Jay might be able to back this up because he's a better writer than I want to be. But what I can tell you is that their Elrond's thing for Galadriel was huge subtext in season 1. Okay.
Okay, see, I didn't see it like that. All right, keep going.
Well, why do you think he got so mad at her about old dude, old Sauron? You know, because if you go back and look at it, the conversations that they're having isn't just, oh, you got taken by Sauron. It was, how can I put this? It was when they showed up and he was with, like, I forgot the character's name. You know, the one she found in the water.
Halbrand.
Halbrand.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, who is this dude? And why are you pulling for him so hard?
Okay.
And weren't you supposed to be going home?
Okay, because I
said you
always
was
took
going
it
home.
as more of a best friends kind of vibe. And like, I can't believe that you would, you know, trust this person or whatever. You're supposed to be better than this. I didn't see it as a, okay. Because with that kid, because see, he kissed her and then he held, and then they like kept their heads mad close. And I was like, yeah, there's something there.
Yeah. And, but as far as lore goes, and I'm choosing my words wisely because your audience is amazing. I'm like, oh, look at all these whirlwind blurs. I don't feel so alone. Oh man. Like I really feel like, God, what's his, Michael Ludlow's character in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jeremiah Bradley. I really feel like Jeremiah Bradley in Blurred Circles. I'm just letting y'all know. You know. But one of the big things in the Silmarillion was, okay, number one, Galadriel's older than most of them. But second, and this is huge, okay? Everybody wanted a piece of her. Everybody. Everybody wanted Galadriel. She was the hottest thing out there.
That's why Anatar told the other girl, Murdriel or whatever, the girl, the one that was one of the Smiths. That's why he told her that he reminded her of Galadriel, and she was like, "Ooh, so okay, I got you," because he was trying to spit.
That's pretty much saying like
devilish game.
Yeah, that's pretty much going to the chick that's like an auto mechanic. When she's all like, when she just got out from under a car and she's feeling all dirty and grimy and be like, you know, something about you reminds me of Beyonce.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, you know, but everybody wanted a piece of Galadriel. She was the it. She was the it girl. And she played with that. It's one of the reasons that she was sent away.
Okay.
You know, so her being the it girl, you know, it's pretty easy to, like, again, Elrond is her best friend, but that don't mean he didn't want to go there. You know, it's just a matter of everybody wants to go there. She's the hottest thing on the block. I'm her best friend. And if she's interested, I'll absolutely go there. But I've been watching her with everybody. She ain't about that life, you know, that kind of thing. And Elrond in the books is the kindest of the elves. Like, the elves are pompous and condescending and noble and all that stuff, but Elrond was the coolest one. You know, so the fact that there is a bit of chemistry there makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
Because it's not that Elrond's the nice guy, so I don't want to hear it in the comments. Elrond's the good guy.
Yeah. Okay, got you. So on the other side of the elf storyline. We get the High King in battle.
Oh,
with an
Gilgalad.
Awesome. I forgot. Can't think of the name of the weapon, but it's a staff with a sword on the end of it, like with a blade on the end of it. I can't remember. Most cultures
in
have
Japan,
a version of
it's
it.
called the Naginata.
Yeah, like every culture has one. Like there's one, like Kung Fu has one. I believe
that's the Kwandao.
Yeah, so like every culture has one. I believe ancient like Nigeria or Egypt had one. Like every culture had one. But it's just awesome because it's super well made. Because of course it's elf, so it's elf stuff. It looks like it costs like $2 million to own one, but it looks sweet
because they put perfection in every stroke of the hammer.
Yeah, so it just looked awesome, and he was wielding it completely like an absolute boss. I was happy to see him in battle. But I want to ask, throw this to Jay. Do you think that the High King makes it out of this battle?
What's funny that you mentioned that is that I didn't even know it was the High King until my wife was like, "Hey, yo, that's the High King." I'm like, "Oh, damn, this guy's legit. I didn't even know he had arrived. Good for him.
Good for him.
Cool.
Hey, good for him. All right, good on you. Well done.
Yeah, well done, sir. You know what? Here's the thing. I think that the tragedy in the defeat is already strong enough for us not to lose any of the other main characters yet. Okay. I think we're gonna lose them at some point. So, I mean, we started off the show when Solar was like, I think that guy is dead. What's the guy's name again? I always forget that guy's name. It's the one name I cannot remember. The elf, the elf that's badass, like the one that's like
Arendir.
Arendir, your guy.
Yeah, Arendir is so cool. So I don't think Arendir or the High King are dead, just because I feel like they would save that and make a big deal of it. But then again, Solar could be right. I mean, maybe they're just like, oh no, we're just going to pass that, and then in the next episode they're going to make a bigger deal about it to give them something to fight for the future. I'm not sure. But I think he's still,
be sure that he did not die in vain.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that the High King might be okay for now. I think that by the end of this era of Lord of the Rings history, I think that he will be dead because we don't see him moving on into the future. Does he? Well, Solar knows this already. Solar, does he one of the guys that goes across the sea?
No.
Okay, so yeah, no. He's gonna die at some point in time. Yeah.
He is. See, that's the thing. Like the tension of who's gonna die and who's not with most of these characters, I already know.
Yeah.
And
see, that's why I didn't ask you, because I was like.
But see, here's the thing, and this is something that y'all can do real quick, and it'll take about 10 minutes. Watch the battle where Sauron is defeated. The opening Galadriel monologue in the movies will tell you everything about who's living and who's dying.
Yeah, good call. Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh, because I was planning on rewatching everything after this season. After the season, I'm going to rewatch everything because it's been about 2 or 3 years since I've watched everything back through. So
shame.
I'll go in and
shame.
run it through. Yeah, every like couple years, I'll go and run everything back through again just to get a refresher. Like a perfect example right now, I'm rewatching all of Marvel Netflix again. There's some highs and lows, but for the most part, it was at the time it was killer. So, but yeah, in here, another thing that I really enjoy is the way they've handled effects, because when they brought out the giant orc,
the troll.
The troll.
The troll was legit,
the boss troll.
That was so good.
Yeah, man.
The fact that he's like, oh, what? You thought I wouldn't use my own people as shields? Nah, bro.
That was so cool. That, by the way,
so
shout
great.
out to whoever on the show had that concept. Like, he'll just lift a couple of the orcs up and then like have them be a shield. That is such a good idea that it just needs to be said how good of an idea that is.
Especially based off of the orc that seems to be kind of like Adar's general, I guess.
Oh yeah.
He's like he'll kill us too. You know what I'm saying? And so if he'll kill y'all too, how do you have him under any type of control? Who knows? But I guess you don't ask those questions.
No.
But
and it's not about controlling, bro. It's about unleashing.
Yeah, but to unleash it, you have to leash it, right? Like how
it was leashed. They unleashed it, and then they got out the way.
Yeah, but don't they have to releash it to like unleash him another time?
Maybe, but we'll deal with that later. First, you unleash him, and then you get out the way. You don't want him using you as a Uruk shield, then you stay 50 yards back. It's that simple.
Wow. But yeah, the effects just because when they said they were going to release him, I was like, it must be one of the big, like either the big elephant or the big troll or whatever it is. And I was waiting to see what it looked like, and it looked incredible. Like because this is still TV, even though it's it's premium TV and it's not that many episodes, so it's a little bit different. It's like a hybrid between TV and movies, but it just looked incredible. I was just so impressed by how good it looked, how good it moved, and on top of all the orc makeup, like all the orcs look awesome. So yeah, I was just really impressed by that, the way it moved, and also everything it took to take him down. And even when they did, he laughed before he died.
Yeah,
like, I was like,
this guy is so good too.
This guy
dude.
is insane.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing.
Like, I mean, he's official, but he's also insane.
Yeah. And like I said, you gotta unleash him, and then you gotta move out the way.
Just get out the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think about controlling a fireball when you launch it from the trebuchet, right?
Well, yeah, I guess you kind of aim it and just hope for the best.
Yeah, let it do what it do.
The other scene that they didn't even need effects for, which I thought was just insanely effective, was when Celebrimbor comes back with his his white cloaks for lack of a better term, his King's Guard. When they walk into that room and they corner Anatar and all he does is twist his hands around and they all kill each other. Oh, I was like,
yeah,
dude, that is so effective, because it's like, how powerful is this guy? And we've already seen him. Like Adar already knows how crazy he is, but nobody else really knows how crazy he is. And so when he just does those little movements and all those guys take each other out, like, I can control your minds and your bodies all at once, and you can't do anything about it. That is just so effective. I was like, oh, that's so cool. What a great idea.
Now,
go ahead.
After we're done with this part, I definitely want to talk about something. So yeah, go on, go ahead.
The sheer amount of detail that they're throwing into this is awesome. Because when we had that scene, they didn't have to do a lot of a colored magic kind of stuff going around. He just made a statement about something to the extent of, do you think you're the only one I'm controlling, or something to that extent? And he turned them just with the wave of his hands, and that, like you said, goes to show why Adar is working as hard as he is. And I mean, he said to his general, like, I don't want any of you under his control, because even though these aren't the children that he expected to get, they're still his children, and he doesn't want them to be used by Sauron. So it's weird, because on one hand, it's like, you're just using us and we're just pawns, and Adar is like, no, you have no idea what he'll do to you. Like, it's like, this is nowhere near as bad as it can get, and we're seeing a little piece of it. So that scene was very effective, even for the last soldier that almost had a chance, maybe he never had a chance, but he just quickly dispatched him with.
Yeah, no, that was Sauron showing out. That really was.
Oh, so anyway, you had something on your mind. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the mind prison.
Yeah, that's good, because I was going to get into that next anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the mind prison and something else. That influence of Sauron specifically.
Sauron uses the Black Mercy.
Respect. You know, the first thing I wanted to bring up was the blood. Because I gotta say, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, well done. Well done. I did not see that coming. And as the lore head and a practicing occultist, I'm like, okay, all right, well done. Because, you know, I'm looking at this and I had to run it back for a little bit because I'm like, wait a second, what was this? Is he knocking over ink? And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I remember when Anatar went to the dwarves and got just a little bit of mithril to finish the rings. That was like back in episode 4. And I'm like, oh, good callback. That was a good switch. That was good. That was good. I'm like, all right. So yeah, one of Sauron's influence is the fact that his blood is in the rings of the dwarves and the men, but not in the rings of the elves. And I'm like, very well played. I really did like that.
And the way the writers and the direction handled the mind prison, we were in the mind prison for like a scene or two before we got let in on the joke.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm sitting here like, hold on, why is he just chilling like this? And then they did that kind of swap, and I was just impressed.
Major credit to the sound design department.
Yeah, definitely.
The fact that before that window breaks, it's always quiet in Celebrimbor's workshop. Yeah. You know, whole war going on outside, and Celebrimbor can't hear anything. Right. And I'm like, why is he not? I mean, how deep into that city is his workshop? Oh, yeah. All right, well done.
And we also get our first look at the I guess discovering that these rings can't be destroyed by like just regular means.
Yeah.
Because even after he burned them, which should have melted them down, they were still cool to the touch. So yeah, now you know, Celebrimbor is very aware that there's going to be heck to pay for all this. And unfortunately, the elves are paying it right now on the battlefield.
I feel bad for them.
Sadly.
I really do.
I have a question for you guys. Oh, sorry. Were you done with yours, Solar?
Yes.
Okay. I got a question for you guys because mine relates to I'm gonna compliment the show a lot, and then I wanna see, because I'm not sure about how to feel about one aspect of Anatar / Sauron that I want to ask you guys about, or I should say Sauron. say in the show.
Sauron.
Yeah. You know, Tolkien was big on pronouncing every syllable. You know,
I know he was really. I mean, this actually, okay, so that's a really good segue, because what I have to say is that one of the things that Tolkien, I think, is so good at is using religious tradition, not in the conventional sense, but in the more realistic sense. So let me give you an example. If you listen to, I love, there's a pastor named Tim Keller that I like to listen to, and he gave a message one time about how, and whether or not you believe in Satan or the devil or anything like that, like this message is still, you'll find it very applicable to your life. But what he said, people like to think that Satan is out there and that he's like trying to like make you uncomfortable or make you miserable or like turn your life into something that is, you know, because whenever you see horror movies, it's like, oh, it's the demonic figure is like trying to ruin your life, right?
Yes.
But what's interesting is that Tim Keller goes into this message about the devil, and he says the devil is trying to make you not connect to God, and in doing so, he makes you focus on you as opposed to looking at God. And so what you do is he has two methodologies by which he does this. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because Michael, you were kind of hinting at this with Anatar and Sauron. Mm-hmm. He has two things that he does extraordinarily well that gets people focused on themselves and not focused on the bigger picture. And that is, he tempts you. He tempts you with something that you're not supposed to do. Even Celebrimbor told us, he said, I even knew that what I was doing in creating the rings was not good, but I still did it anyways. And even Galadriel said the same thing about Halbrand. And then after he's tempted you to do a thing, he turns around and goes, I'm going to convict you because you did a thing. He even does it to Celebrimbor in this moment when he's talking to him, and he says, yep. I didn't, it wasn't me that
you practically begged me to show you that stuff.
Exactly. So I think that there's this, so my compliment to Tolkien is to take a real lived human experience of temptation and conviction and to work it into how the characters interact with each other. And then for the showrunners to be able to take that same philosophical approach to the storytelling is so good. So I love that. Fantastic. Super stoked about that. My question for you guys was, what did you think about Sauron telling us about his experience with Morgoth?
I thought that was kind of cool to get like a little glimpse into sort of his, I guess, journey to where he is now, his creation sort of. But I ain't trying to hear that. Like even Celebrimbor was like, oh, so what? So you just gonna be evil to everybody else now? Like ain't nobody trying. Nah, Like, yo, man, you just killed 10 people. Someone was torturing me. Yeah, that's very, very bad. But you're also doing very, very bad things too. Like you don't get to just be like, oh, well, I mean, I guess I get to be evil because someone was evil to me. Well, Sauron, ain't nobody crying for you.
I love hearing you say boy bye. Because so it was I thought it was really cool to give a little bit of Sauron's point of view. Kind of going on this modern times things of sympathetic villains, if you will.
Right.
It's like, well, if I understand why someone is evil, that makes them less evil, right? Yeah, no. I'm about to tell you why I'm punching you in the face, okay? Is your nose less broken?
Thank you.
Exactly.
I mean, but that's like my perspective.
By the way, that is an A+ metaphor. Like that analogy right there was perfect. Good job so far.
Well, you're welcome, but it's not entirely me. I get a lot of people who hear the stuff I go through, and their immediate answer is, well, that's only because, and I'm like, shut up. I don't care why. All right. That's only because. Thank you for letting me know it's an intellectual exercise to you, jerk. Now I'm going to be over here giving myself stitches and crying, but you can tell me why I'm bleeding and I need stitches. All right. Anyway. But it's weird because it hit a little different, and it definitely showed how skewed people's perspectives can be, because we see that argument in a lot of different contexts, but the one that immediately snapped to my mind was V for Vendetta, where he was like, what they did to me was monstrous, and she's like, so they made you a monster. And the audience is like, yeah, well, you know what, sometimes you need a monster. Let me justify all this stuff because I'm on his side. But then when we see the bad guy going, the thing that turned me evil was I was tortured by a dark god. I just wanted to make stuff better. He wanted to tear it all down, and I'm still trying to make stuff better. And people are like, boy, bye. And I'm like, this is interesting. This is very interesting because a major Tolkien theme is compassion. You know, because remember, Bilbo's pity may well turn the fate of Middle Earth. You know, where Frodo was like, Bilbo should have killed Gollum. You know, so hearing Sauron's perspective, it's very much, it is very reminiscent of the source material, because the source material also made very clear that there was a time where Sauron was trying to do good. You know, the biggest villainous thing that he is, and this is in my opinion because I'm not a doctor, what actually makes him a psychopath. Because he sincerely believes that he's doing the right thing. In his heart, he's trying to make things better, and he's trying to bring peace to everything. And I like that this was included, not so that I can look at people saying Thanos was what, but you know, because y'all know that was a really big movement, but this is the same thing. You know, this is a villain who truly believes that his way is the way for everybody. And it's demonstrably incorrect.
Yeah, it's
you know,
there's a certain level where you look and you're like, but there's no way you don't know that people are dying behind what you're doing. Like, there's no way, unless you're gonna hit me with the, hey, it takes a couple of cracked eggs, then I guess I could sort of go with you. But I'd say, are these cracked eggs after all this time still worth what you say is going to get? And do you believe that the people that you quote are doing this for are going to agree that it's worth it? Yeah,
like exactly what kind of omelet you trying to make, bruh? How many people you feeding? Yeah, I mean, I definitely get that. You know, this is the thing that makes him evil. You know, I mean, that's the whole thing. Because this is going to seem like a tangent, but let me cook, all right? I'm about to get it in the comments again. I've recently come to realize that I preferred Batman Begins over The Dark Knight.
Okay. Ooh,
and however, there is one moment in Batman Begins that I wholeheartedly disagree with. All right. And that is the climax on the train, and Batman says to Ra's al Ghul, sorry, spoilers for a movie that's almost 20 years old. I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you. And I'm like, yes, you do. Because that's what heroes do. The good guy tries to save everybody. Period. Regardless of how bad they are. Because by that same logic, he didn't have to save the Joker from the fall. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You know? And part of being good, and this was actually really brought to the forefront in the most unexpected superhero movie that any of us have seen, Aquaman. Where him letting Black Manta's father die gave him an arch enemy, and because he's like, you offended the sea, get mercy from it, swim away, I'm Jason Momoa, you know? But then at the end of the movie, he's like, no, you're my brother, I gotta save you. And not saving somebody kind of put his son on a bloodlust for me. So yeah, I gotta do better, you know? And so, but the bad guy is like, well, hey, if 100,000 elves have got to die for me to save this world, then 100,000 elves have got to die for me to save this world, period. That's just what it's going. Sure, the elves are legitimately good, created by God to be the examples of what good is supposed to be. But if they gotta go, they gotta go. It's for the greater good. There is no greater good. You know? So yeah, that's very much the thing that makes Sauron the bad guy. And I love the fact that Celebrimbor hit him with the truth. With that, you really are the greatest deceiver. Because you've even managed to deceive yourself. Like, man, you crazy. And I can't escape you now.
Those moments between them were awesome.
Yeah.
But I'll throw it. I know we've been on for a minute, so I'll go in and throw it over to Jay. Jay, hit me with some final thoughts, and where can they find you?
Yeah, so final thoughts are that season 2 continues to just get better and better. I think we talked about this last week, but season 1 or 2 weeks ago, season 1 was good. Season 2 is turning out to be great. They're really turned a corner on all of these characters and where they're going. Everybody has a purpose. I can't think of a character who has gotten worse. I think you said this earlier in the conversation. Like, they've all gotten better. Every single character has gotten better, has gotten more interesting. I think it's going to be, what I find really interesting is I don't know where any of this goes, really. I mean, I know where we start out with Lord of the Rings, but in between, I don't really know all of the things that happen. And nor do I really know what all is planned for this show. Like, how many seasons are we getting? I have no clue. So that kind of makes it more intriguing to me for whatever reason. And I think we've said all the other things. I mean, the characters are great. The special effects have been great. The fight scenes have been amazing. Everything about episode 7 was fantastic. I can't even think of, I had the one complaint that I said about the writing where they kind of have to force feed you some of what's going on, which I think is, by the way, just as another side note, I think it's so fascinating because there's so many difficult things to understand with the lore that they could be force feeding you, and instead they're force feeding you the action that's happening on the screen. It's like, but why? Why did you choose that? But the writing has improved dramatically, in my opinion, between season 1 and season 2. So I love all of that. So I'm here for whatever happens in episode 8. I think look, when we were 20 years ago, when we saw the Balrog on screen for the first time, and I do kind of wish that I could see this on the big screen, because the Balrog on the big screen, I think, is just an amazing experience. But the fact that we get to see that character again is just phenomenal. So I'm here for that. I'm here to see what the end game is for all of these characters and where they're going with it. And it is always a pleasure talking to you guys about it. You can find me at How Stories Work with Jay Sherer on YouTube. I haven't published any content on there in a while because I'm in the process of moving, and so it probably will be another little bit before I publish anything over there. But if you also can check out some of the content I have over on the Orange Grove 55 YouTube channel, you have to search for the Story Geek shows on there. We moved the Story Geeks over there. And also, if you sign up for a membership over there at Orange Grove 55, you can go back in the archive. There's only like 7 membership videos in there, but you can watch my short film, because my short film, I can't show it publicly, just on account of the fact that it's on the festival circuit. But yeah, you can watch No Vacancy on the Orange Grove 55 channel, so long as you're a member. And I think that's all the places you can pretty much find me. I try to avoid X as much as possible, but sometimes I'm on there. So yeah, but thanks for having me on. This has been super fun. It's always really good to talk to Solar, because he's got such a wealth of information about this stuff. So absolute pleasure, guys.
All right. And Solar?
That was such a diplomatic way of saying I have few friends. I'm kidding. So I not only do I agree with Jay about how the show is running, but I will also add that this show has officially hit the level of the Star Trek curse for me, which is, again, I'm gonna get lit up in the comments. I'm just fine. Give me your hate. It's fine. But I think too many audiences look so forward to being snobs that they rob themselves of really good stuff. This idea of, I ain't got time to be watching no show for a whole season for it to be good. What else are you doing? Doom scrolling, yeah,
you just spend the same amount of time on TikTok or something.
Yeah, exactly. And and of course I'm saying this having not watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but that's me not liking the head writer. Or should I say not liking the head writer's work.
Okay.
But this has definitely hit the Star Trek curse for me, in the sense of every Star Trek show from the Next Generation on needs a season or 2 to find its feet. I've said this over 100 times on this show. And season 1 was all right. It didn't give Tolkien fans what they wanted. It was something different from the movie, but all in all, it was all right. It was okay. However, it has now officially hit the place of it was the vegetables on your plate. You know, it was that appetizer that was not what you came to this restaurant for. But now we're getting the meal. And the meal is surprisingly good. You know, I was actually talking about this show with someone just last night, and they were on a tear. And I'm just like, have you watched any of season 2 yet? And they're like, nah. I'm like, you should. Yeah, you should. Because now that we know who everybody is, it's going really well. And that's all I said. You know, because that's as much of the conversation I get into with people, because I don't like being around people who talk really fast and really loud. So I'm like, do you honestly think I'm antagonizing you? And are you listening to engage, or are you listening to retort? That's what I don't have time for. Actually, I've got the time. I just don't have the energy. So with this show, I'm really, really liking season 2. I know that this is a prequel. I know where it ends up, you know, but the journey on getting there. You see what I did? Huh? See what I did there?
I got you.
It's Lord of the Rings, and all the people who want to cut out the hobbits walking. Again, the journey in getting there is what's important, not the suspense of whether or not the good guys are going to win. The good guys are going to ultimately win. That's 92% of popular media. There are very few tragedies out there nowadays. You know, fortunately, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, you know, Prestige TV, they give us some tragedies, and that's kind of neat. But that's only 8% of what's out there. The other 92 is good guys win, bad guys lose, and as ever, England prevails. So seeing the journey on how we get there is the primary purpose for these stories. Visiting the world, looking around, taking a look at the stuff that led to the things we already know. And I think they're doing a really interesting, bold, and like I'm saying really on those particular adjectives. And I think they're doing a good job in what they're putting on screen. You know, I really do. Now that the characters are fleshed out and the actors are finding their feet in the roles, and the writers are finding their footing. They're not there yet, but the writers are finding their footing with the world, the stories, the character, the characters, and the lore. It's shaping up to be pretty good. You know, I mean, is this going to be a 5 of a kind? No. It is not going to be a 5 of a kind. It is not going to live up to the Jackson trilogy. In all honesty, I don't know very many pieces of media outside of literature that will live up to the Jackson trilogy. But for what it is, it's very good. You know, it's very good. We've gone from fine to compelling. And hopefully by the end of this season, we'll go to good. And I would rather have this escalation than the de-escalation of Game of Thrones, you know?
Yes.
And if you guys want to talk with me more about this stuff, there are many places that you can find me. You can hit me up on Instagram at Back in the Deck, on YouTube on the Solar Grey channel. I haven't uploaded any videos. I've been working my day job way too much, but I got bills to pay and not enough followers to do that yet. You can also leave a comment for me here. I do read them if I don't have time to comment or to comment back, but I do my best. You can also find me at twitch.tv/BID_P. And of course, I don't spend much time on Twitter because, how can I put this? It seems to be the place where angry people go to be angry. And I don't think it should be taken down. I just don't go there because I don't want to spend my time being angry. And of course, you can always hit me up on Deckers on the Book. That is a YouTube group that is semi-private. And show me your gaming and what you're working on and what you're watching and stuff like this.
Okay. For me, final thoughts. Thank you, Amazon. Thank you, all of the writers and actors and directors and people making sets and stuff, because this is way more fun than I thought it would be when it was first announced. I was like, I don't know. I mean, we already got a lot of Lord of the Rings. I mean,
do we really need a new show?
We got 6 movies totaling 135 hours of footage. Now, all right, it's not that long, but it's long. All right, I'm not going to act like it's not long, but still, I have truly enjoyed this. The first season I thought was a lot of, I think it looked good. I did like the characters, but it felt like homework. But now I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor. I'm passing the test and getting good grades, because now I get to just watch cool stuff, see these characters actually be cool.
And now school is fun.
Now school is fun. So yeah, this show is awesome. And with that said, thank you. God bless and good night. NERDSoul. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. And until the next time that you have to pull out a brand new arrow when you already have like 6 arrows in you just to fire off one last arrow and save the day, me saying peace.
You know, I want to call her Saint Sebastian, right?